Okay, councillors, I'm about to open the meeting, so if anyone and member of the public, if you've got any devices, please make sure they're turned to silent. And also, if we do for any reason need to adjourn the meeting again, make sure everything's turned to silent because we may leave the live stream on. Okay, I think if we can now open the meeting. So, good evening, councillors, officers and community members in attendance tonight. I'm also welcome Connie Boglis, who is joining us online this evening, and any other members of the public online or live streaming tonight's meeting. My name is Christine Olaris. I'm the Darebin Mayor and I'm the chairperson of tonight's meeting. It's my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's council meeting, and I declare the meeting open at 6:06 p.m. The meeting is being live streamed and a recording will also be made available on the council website as soon as possible after the meeting. I'd like to start by acknowledging the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people, the traditional owners of this land. I recognise their continuing connection to land, to water and to culture, and pay my respect to elders past and present. At this historic time, when the statewide Treaty Bill 2025 is before the Victorian Parliament, I'd like to affirm Council's commitment to treaty, to truth-telling and to self-determination for First Nations people as enshrined in our recently adopted Council Plan. Before I move on to the formalities of the meeting, I'd also like to pause for a moment in response to the recent demonstrations in the Melbourne CBD. Darebin has always prided itself on being a safe and inclusive community where people from all walks of life are welcome. That's why these demonstrations have been so confronting and distressing to me, to my fellow councillors, and to many, many members of our community. Everyone has the right to feel welcome and safe, and I call on the entire Darebin community to continue to connect locally and to remember that we are stronger together. As the Mayor, I want to let the community know that no matter where you come from, no matter what your background or how you identify, you are welcomed and you are valued here. Thank you. We'll move on to the formalities. So we have one apology this evening. That's Councillor Demetriatis. The next item is disclosures of conflicts of interest. So if any councillor or relevant staff member has a conflict of interest in relation to anything on tonight's agenda, if you could please disclose that and the nature of that conflict of interest. So just to remind everyone, that declaration needs to be made now, but also immediately prior to the item on the agenda. So councillors and officers, are there any conflicts? And I see Councillor Arturi's hand up.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to declare a general conflict with item 9.5, and I'll declare it again at the beginning of that item.
Thank you, Councillor Arturi. And were there any others? I'm not calling you Councillor. Our CEO, Anne Howard, thank you.
Thank you. Through the Chair, I also declare a conflict of interest in relation to this evening. There's a confidential item at the very end of our meeting that will relate to the CEO's performance plan, which is a matter to do with my employment, so I have a material conflict of interest.
Thank you, Anne. Anyone else? No. Okay. So just a reminder as we go through the meeting, if anything comes up and means that you do have a conflict, please just let me know. Okay, we need to confirm the minutes of the previous meeting. These were held on the 25th of August 2025. There is a motion up on the screen at the moment. Is there anyone willing to put that forward? Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Is there a seconder for that motion? Thank you, Councillor Salkos. I think we'll just put it straight to the vote. All those in favour, raise your hand. Councillor Boglis, so you, yep, thank you. Okay, that's carried unanimously. So we just move on to Council's OH&S responsibilities. So Council has an occupational health and safety responsibility to ensure that everyone attending tonight's meeting online or in this room feel safe both physically and emotionally. So it's great to see everyone here this evening. I'd like to remind everyone to be respectful of one another, to maintain a civil tone when addressing the meeting. And if anyone does engage in conduct that is improper or disorderly, the chairperson may direct that person to cease their conduct, and that person must comply with that direction. So, public question time. We're going to move on to. We've got 30 minutes allocated for public question time. If we exceed that time, I will ask for a procedural motion. I think we could make it in 30 minutes this time, but we'll see how we go. No questions can be taken in line with Council's governance rules from people in the gallery unless they've been submitted by 12 p.m. today. You can ask 3 questions max. You can speak for no more than 2 minutes in total. And I ask anyone who will be asking questions to please make sure that you are doing just that, asking a question and not making a statement. And you will have been asked, if you had a preamble to your question, to please just focus on the question. For members of the public who have registered to ask a question in person, I'll call your name when it's time. If I call your name and you don't respond, we're going to take it that you're not here, either online or in the gallery, and one of our officers will read the question on your behalf. And then the appropriate general manager will then, or their proxy, will then answer those questions. If you're in attendance in person or virtually, I'll invite you to come up to the lectern or online to unmute your microphone, to state your name and then ask your question. And like questions are often grouped together. So in that case, the first person who submitted that question can ask their question, but we'll aim for the answer to be responsive to the group of questions. Okay, so the first question is from Lolita Ponathure. Lolita is not attending. Her questions relate to the Preston market, and I believe Anna's going to read them out for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Lolita has 3 questions. The first, what steps is Darebin Council taking to ensure the retention of existing market stall footprint in any redevelopment of the Preston market? The second question, what is Darebin Council's view on an appropriate height for any residential apartment building built as part of the Preston market redevelopment? Please provide a number of stories and height in metres above ground. And the third question, does Darebin Council support the inclusion of a large retail supermarket, including but not limited to Woolworths, Coles, IGA, in the redevelopment of the Preston market?
Thank you. We've got Megan to answer those questions. Thanks, Megan.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Thank you for your question, Lolita. Following extensive advocacy by Council, the Victorian Government implemented planning controls for the Preston Market precinct. The controls include a heritage overlay that recognises the local significance of the market. This, together with the other controls, supports the retention of the market footprint. Ultimately, the Minister for Planning will be the decision maker for any future development applications at the market. With regards to the second question, the building heights in state-approved plans range from 1 to 14 stories. That's 12 to 47 metres, depending on the location. These heights are generally consistent with Council's position on preferred building heights. For the third question, Council supports additional retail uses within this precinct to serve our growing community. The planning controls allow for 27,500 square metres of new retail, entertainment and other commercial land uses. If a supermarket was proposed, the Minister for Planning would be the decision maker for that application, and they should consider the retail analysis and how it complements the existing retail precincts at the Preston Market and High Street.
Thank you. Okay, next questions are from Philip Ward. Philip also is not attending. His questions relate to the planning application at 322 High Street, Northcote, which is from McDonald's. And I will read the questions out.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Philip has one question. I'm writing to add my voice in writing to object to the planning application at 323 High Street, Northcote for a chain convenience store. I have filed an objection via the Town Planning Department but wish to ask the council why such a development would be sanctioned.
Megan, thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Thank you for your question, Philip. Officers have received your objection to the planning application, which is currently under consideration. A decision has not been made on the application to date. Your grounds of objection will be considered when determining the application.
Thank you. And slightly different question, but similar topic. We have hopefully online Jenny Stremelos. No, not turned up. Will we wait for Jenny? We'll move on, or will we read her question out? We'll read her question out, I think. Continue on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. One question from Jenny. What actions have been taken or are being taken to stop the McDonald's permit application being granted and prevent McDonald's opening in High Street, Northcote?
And again, Megan.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Thank you for your question, Jenny. The planning permit application is currently under consideration and a decision has not been made. Officers have sought additional information from the permit applicant and advertised the application to seek community feedback. The application will be assessed against the Darebin planning scheme and considered on its merits. The applicant and objectors will be notified of Council's decision.
Thank you. Now we have some questions from John Nugent, who is not attending. Over to you, Ina.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. John has 3 questions. The first relates to Pitcher Park. I noticed in the 25-26 annual budget, it states that Pitcher Park Sports Ground will be renovated. How can this be correct and why when there are other grounds in more need? The second question relates to the $10 million budget allocation for climate leadership and response, which is to maintain and increase tree planting. The question is, some time ago, about 12 to 18 months, I asked the question why Council is spending ratepayers' money on planting trees and shrubs when no one from Council looks after them once they are planted. To date, I haven't seen any change. And the third question relates to Keon Park Football Netball Club. Could you please advise why the Keon Park Football Netball Club did not share the same pavilion and ground with the Keon Park Stars Junior Football Club after the Keon Park Football and Netball Club was given permission to train there in 2023 at Donath Reserve, but was down at East Preston?
Okay, I think we're going to split these ones up. So the first 2 questions, Keith, thank you.
Pardon me. Thank you, and through you, Mayor. So thank you, John, for the 2 questions. When developing capital works program, Council considers a range of factors, including the assessment and prioritisation of renewal and upgrade works across all sports grounds, guided by the Outdoor Sports Infrastructure Framework. At Pitcher Park, ongoing drainage issues, particularly on the northern side, have damaged the playing surface, creating safety concerns and limited healthy grass growth. Renovation works scheduled in the 25-26 program will address these issues, ensuring the ground is safe, sustainable and easier to maintain. Regarding the second point of planting new trees across the Council, planting new trees supports Council's climate and biodiversity goals by increasing canopy cover, providing shade and supporting local wildlife. Contractors maintain new trees for a period of over 12 months during the establishment period, including watering, mulching, weeding and pruning, while Council monitors tree health and contractor performance against the FORS trees, tree management software. Thank you.
Thank you. And the final one, if we can get Nina to answer, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Thank you, John, for the question. Keon Park Football Netball Club was provided a casual booking at JC Donath Oval 1 for their pre-season training during 2023 cricket season. JC Donath 1 Oval was allocated to Keon Park Stars Junior Football Club for the winter season for their training, matches and promotional activities including Auskick. Keon Park Football Netball Club was allocated CH Sullivan for their winter season. This was in line with Council's allocation practices.
Thanks, Nina. I believe we've got Serena Romelli online. Are you there, Serena? Serena, are you there? There we go. Hi, Serena. It's your turn to ask your questions. I know you've got 3 on different topics, so I'll just let you talk to them.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Given that the structure at 1C McCartney Street Reservoir has remained unfinished since 2010, despite multiple planning permits, including the current permit D783-2022, which at the time I wrote this question I understood expired in October 2025 based on previous information provided by Council. Is Darebin Council prepared to take decisive action, including demolishing the site, given that all previous enforcement actions have failed?
So I think we might do each of these separately because they're quite distinct questions. So Meg, would you mind responding to this one? Thank you.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Alaris. Thank you for your questions, Serena. We acknowledge the long planning history for this site. Planning permit D783-2022 was issued on the 8th of August 2023, allowing the construction of a dwelling. The permit requires the development to commence by the 8th of August 2026. This permit is therefore current and the landowner can act upon that approved development. No further planning enforcement will be undertaken whilst the site has a current permit in place.
Move on to your second question, Serena.
Thank you. Please provide the statistics for the performance indicators listed in the reporting section of the Community Complaints about a Council Policy from August 2023 to now, including the number of complaints received, outcomes at each stage. They are preliminary check, initial assessment, investigation, review, average and individual response times, and any resulting changes to services, policies, or processes.
Caroline? Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Serena, for the question, and through you, Mayor. So since August 2023, there have been 15 complaints under this policy. 3 complaints were resolved at the initial assessment stage, and 12 were referred to the Councillor Conduct Framework. Following the Local Government Act reforms and legal review, we are in the process of sunsetting this policy, which will be replaced by the Councillor Internal Dispute Resolution Procedure, as well as our community-facing complaints handling policy. This policy is more effective in driving continuous improvement opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just to follow up on that, I did have in that question a number of different stages that were required by the policy itself. You've answered some of them, but not others. I wonder if that could be taken on notice so that each of those elements is answered. And secondly, I have written to the CEO about a complaint which I lodged, and I haven't received an acknowledgement to that email, and I just wanted to draw it to your attention.
Thank you. We'll follow up on that for you.
Thank you. The third question is, please provide details, including the addresses of the 5 contaminated sites warranting investigation under the Environmental Protection Act 2017, as referenced in item 9.1, Appendix A, page 55 of today's agenda.
Oh, Megan, thank you.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Council is working with the EPA to manage potentially contaminated land across the municipality. The information about the sites is available through a Freedom of Information process with the EPA. Information is available via the Victoria Unearthed website, which holds publicly available information about individual sites across the state. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your time, Serena.
Sorry, just to follow up on that, why wouldn't council, which has listed it in its own agenda, simply give the public that information? Council has a transparency obligation.
Through the chair, thank you for your question. Yes, council does have transparency obligations, which we take seriously. However, these documents aren't just council documents; they're for the EPA purpose, and therefore your best approach is to seek them to be released through the EPA. Thanks.
But my specific question was about addresses of sites. Like, I'm just saying, what's the site? What's the contamination?
Yeah, so again, my response is still the same. I would recommend that you approach the EPA and seek that to be released. They will go through processes of consultation, etc., and work out what is appropriate or not to be released. Thanks.
Thank you, Serena. Okay. That's the end of public question time. So we've got no submissions this evening and we have no petitions. So we are moving on to the consideration of reports. So the first report we have this evening is the draft 2024-25 financial report and performance statement.
Can I introduce it before questions?
Yes. I'm handing over to our CEO who'd like to say something.
Thank you, Chair. I will take the opportunity actually to introduce this report. I know that not everyone will be as excited as we are to be able to present our end-of-year financial statements, but I just want to confirm for those who looked at the agenda when it was published that we were waiting on a few formalities. So I can confirm for councillors in the gallery that we have received our VAGO closing report. We've got an excellent clean bill of health on our accounts. We have provided the management representation letter to council and to the Audit and Risk Committee prior to their meeting last Wednesday, and the committee has been able to make its recommendation as per its terms of reference to the council. The advice from the committee is now being incorporated into a revised recommendation for councillors tonight, so it is slightly different to the agenda, but really the differences in what we now recommend are reflecting the advice of the Audit and Risk Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so councillors, do you have any questions of officers regarding this item? No? Okay. If there are no questions, we'll move into debate. So I just want to ask first up, is there anyone who's prepared to move this motion? Thank you, Councillor Selkos. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. Does the mover wish to speak?
Yes, I do. Thanks, Mayor. And I'm happy to move this evening and briefly note that our finances are in good shape as confirmed by both the auditors and the Audit and Risk Committee. It's encouraging to see a surplus, noting that some of this income is advanced for next year and others relate to assets on our books. At the same time, it's worth pointing out that this surplus is important for keeping us in a strong position given how tight our budgets are in the future years. Some of the highlights for the year ending 30th of June 2025 include the completion of the John Hall Pavilion, KP Hardeman Reserve Pavilion, our IT equipment refresh, and significant investment into infrastructure such as roads, transport, drainage, footpaths, and cycleways. Finally, Mayor, in relation to the performance statement, it's key to note that out of the 28 indicators audited by the Victorian Auditor General's Office, 23 of those have either exceeded or improved compared to Council's targets last year. So, very happy to move this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Selkos. Would the seconder like to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I guess, yeah, as we've heard, the report shows us that we're in good stead. It gives us a good snapshot of our financial performance to the end of the last financial year. and it essentially confirms that we've delivered on our budget and priorities for the year. It's a key accountability milestone, ensuring transparency and integrity before we finalise our annual report. And there's lots in it, but I'm pleased to note a few highlights for people who are interested. Some of these include our maternal and child health service, which is stepping up to meet growing needs, particularly for Aboriginal and refugee families, with new partnerships in place to ensure better care. Our community is using our NARC and RLC facilities more than ever. And with a full year of operation for NARC, we've seen a huge increase in visitations to this great facility. This validates Council's previous decision to invest in a fully electric leisure centre when the old facility had reached end of life. Maximising the previous investment to the last, but then looking to the future of quality design principles, efficient equipment and solar technology, all of which has resulted in lower operating costs while providing a welcoming space that's serving the whole community. We've maintained 94% of Darebin sealed roads to standard, which is an achievement given the challenges that our climate-driven storms and flooding are creating for councils everywhere. There are also areas for improvement. Community satisfaction with council consultation and engagement has declined slightly, even though it remains at a good level. This shows we need to communicate more clearly about the breadth of our services we deliver and respond more effectively as issues arise. So for those seeking a summary of other elements, I recommend Appendix F as a good resource, but tonight's decision before us means we can confidently adopt the officer's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this item? Okay, so before we move to voting, I'd just like to thank the team for your work throughout the year, and particularly in pulling together all of these reports. Shrini and Michael, great work, thank you. Okay, so let's go to the vote. All those in favour of this motion, raise your hand. Okay, that's Councillor Arturi, Councillor Jelly, Councillor O'Brien, Councillor Sangster, Councillor Salkos, Councillor Villela and Councillor Olaris. All those opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, and abstaining? That's Councillor Boglis. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next item, sorry. So this is the 2024-25 end of year performance report. This is the non-financial report for the year ending 30th of June 2025. Do councillors have any questions of the officers regarding this item? Yes, Councillor Jelly.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. So I just noticed on page 92 of the agenda papers, there's a statement that one of Council's strategic goals is to complete the housing strategy and report to Council on opportunities for more affordable and social housing, and that this was expected to be completed by August 2025. But we noted, as we noted in the minutes that we accepted earlier, last month's meeting we voted to accept parts 1 and 2 of the strategy. So I just wanted to get some clarity on what that goal is, and yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Jelly, and through you, Mayor. Parts 1 and 2 of the housing strategy were endorsed previously by Council, therefore being completed before August 2025. However, Part 3, which will address social and affordable housing, is a substantial piece of work which is currently underway and therefore won't meet the August intent.
Any other questions? No? Yep.
Yep, thank you, through you, Mayor. Just a follow-up question, recognising how substantial the piece of work is going to be. Do we have a sense of a timeline for that?
I'm not sure how relevant it is to this motion, but if we've got an easy answer, that would be great. Otherwise, we could bring it back to you. Yeah.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Sangster, and through you, Mayor. Part 3 of the housing strategy is a substantial piece of work. It will require community consultation and expert input. We anticipate it will take up to 18 months to complete.
Thank you. Okay, can we get the motion up on the screen? Thank you. So presuming there's no further questions, do we have a mover of this motion? Councillor Jelly, do we have a seconder of the motion? Councillor Salkos. Does the mover wish to speak? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just want to begin tonight by thanking council officers not only for bringing us this comprehensive report, but also for their dedicated hard work in achieving the goals outlined in the previous council plan. This report demonstrates the breadth and depth of council's work across our community, which proves that there is more to local government than rates, roads and rubbish. Our local actions on big issues such as truth-telling, social connection and emissions reduction show how deeply council is committed to creating a fairer, more inclusive and sustainable Darebin, where nobody is left behind and where people and the environment have the opportunity to thrive. Some of the goals from the previous plan have been carried over and adopted in our new current plan, which we're committed to delivering, including the Cultural Diversity Action Plan and the LGBTQIA+ Action Plan to support inclusion and wellbeing. Also improving transport safety for people who walk, ride and wheel throughout Darebin, with an application made to the Department of Transport and Planning for 40km/h zones to be applied across large areas of Northcote and Thornbury, as well as the next phase of Your Street, Your Say Group C to progress to Council next month. And also updating our social and sustainable procurement policy. These are all practical steps that reflect the shared values within our community. They are about making sure that our streets are safer, our services more inclusive, and our local economy is more equitable. This report also shows that through the Solar Saver program and our heat health initiatives, we've supported hundreds of residents to stay safe and comfortable in their homes, especially those residents who are most vulnerable to climate impacts. These achievements are the result of collaboration, care, and a clear sense of purpose. They reflect the strength of our community and the dedication of council staff, volunteers, and partners. This report is well worth reading for anyone who wants a clear and comprehensive snapshot of all of the work that council does. I commend this report and reaffirm my support for the work it represents. It is a testament to what we can achieve when we act with integrity, listen to our community, and stay focused on outcomes that matter for the people of Darebin, as well as the land, the water, and the skies that have been cared for by Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people for millennia. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Councillor Salkos, did you want to speak?
I'll reserve my right. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay. Are there any other people who would like to speak to this motion? Councillor Arturi.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank officers for their work on this report, and as Councillor Jelly said, it does highlight the how broad and important Council's work is across a variety of areas. I did just want to point out a couple of highlights in addition to what Councillor Jelly very thoroughly pointed out herself during the last quarter. Of course, one of the key achievement was supporting truth-telling initiatives to learn about Aboriginal culture and history. We recently saw that wonderful mural being completed by Wurundjeri artist Alex Kurt Bundura Homestead. Participation, as we've seen in the report, participation in Darebin sports clubs increased by 9% over the last financial year. In particular, women and girls participation increased by 18%. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's participation by almost 10%, and those from culturally diverse backgrounds by almost 5%, and those from low socioeconomic background by just over 7%. And I think this highlights the importance of investment in these facilities for our health and wellbeing. The Reservoir Leisure Centre Scoping Study report has of course been released. Over the last few months we saw that, and of course the recommendations are influencing Council's capital works program, as we saw in the budget that we adopted at the end of June. And of course we we are progressing concept designs and a business case to support future development at the centre. We've got construction commenced at Marybury Kindergarten in Kingsbury. We've got construction drawing to a close very soon at KP Hardyman Pavilion. We've adopted the 2025 local law, and of course we've launched a new project, Darebin Zero, Ending Homelessness Together, to support people sleeping rough in the Darebin community. This project has of course been established with local housing and health and community sector partners, and I commend the motion to the Chamber. Thank you,
well
Mayor.
done. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, we might go to the vote then. All those in favour of this motion, please raise your hand. Okay, that's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 9.3, contract renewal of Pathway Software. We have a revised officer recommendation. I think, Carolyn, are you going to just briefly update us on that one?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. Just a couple of amendments to the document that was originally published. The first one, so the sum of the contract is still confidential at this stage, so we refer to it as an attachment. And we are asking for Council to, as part of the draft recommendation, consider to make the full contract public in 2 years. So the sum of the contract will be included for the 2 years that would have been spent at that time. Thank you.
Councillors, do you have any questions of the officers about this proposed motion? No questions? Okay. Do we have a mover of the motion? Councillor Salkos? Do I have a seconder? Councillor Arturi? Sorry, there was a few hands went up then. Does the mover wish to speak?
I will, and thank you, Mayor. I'll start by thanking the officers for the work they've done in bringing this contract renewal to us today. This renewal is not a new cost in our budget. What we're being asked to do is to approve the CEO to finalise and execute the contract documentation on behalf of our council. The software in question today is called Pathways. It supports a wide range of council core business functions, including property and rating, planning, building, local laws, infringements, and customer request management. By approving this renewal, councillors will be moving away from our on-premises platform, which requires officers to maintain the software, test it, and apply updates, to a software as a service model, which means the software is hosted and maintained in the cloud by the provider, and the provider is responsible for the update security, and it's all managed by them and not by us. The benefits of this transition are significant. It will reduce the workload on our IT team, ensure we're always on the latest version of the software, improve reliability, and strengthen our security. In short, it will allow our officers to spend less time maintaining our systems and more time focusing on service delivery for our community. So I hope all councillors can support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Salkos. Does the seconder wish to speak?
I'll reserve my right, thank you.
You reserve your right? Okay, is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to, I guess, confirm that I will be supporting this. Councillor Salkos has lent us his IT expertise by going through the many reasons why we would be doing this. I think for me, I just want to reiterate the fact that we are on a journey in terms of our software in this organisation, and it is a really important journey, and this is a good step for us. Anything that we can do to maximise how we use the technology that is vastly and quickly evolving, I guess, on the market, that helps our staff do the job a bit easier and a bit better, ultimately means we get better results for the community, and that's something we should all be supporting. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Seconder? No. We'll move to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. So that's unanimous. Thank you. Apologies, I'm just moving to the next item, which is the governance report. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to ask our CEO to just give a quick update on this one.
Thank you, through the chair. I just want to make a comment that since this council meeting agenda was published, there is one thing that has changed from the status of the petitions that are outlined within the report, and that is that one of the petitions relating to an application to remove 2 large trees in Ballantyne Street has now gone through the process of being assessed against policy, and no permit for tree removal has been granted.
Thank you. I'm sure there'll be a few happy people hearing that. Maybe not everyone, but okay. So, do we have a mover for this motion? Councillor Sangster, do we have a seconder? Councillor Villela, does the mover wish to speak?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I rise to support the officer's recommendation on this governance report and to thank them, of course, for their work. This report may look procedural, but it represents something far greater. It represents the strength of our governance framework and names how it continues to protect and serve our community. Our governance rules and our policy framework have ensured transparency, accountability, and most importantly of all, that community voices are heard. The inclusion of petitions and progress updates is another important step forward. We saw this in action with the Ballantyne trees that we've just heard about, ancient habitat trees that were saved because our rules required a proper assessment. In this case in particular, the Management of Tree Protection on Private Property Policy 2019 delivered the outcome. And it was important for fairness and transparency that both the applicant and the lead petitioner had regular advice from relevant officers throughout this process. Trees, like roads and footpaths, are vital infrastructure. We all know this. They sustain the health, well-being and resilience of human and non-human life alike. And this truth must be given proper weight in all our decision-making. Last year, Councillor O'Brien's notice of motion on vegetation management was passed, and this NOM highlighted the importance of protecting the defenders and habitats of biodiversity, our trees. So in the same spirit of that NOM, I'm hoping that in the future we can explore reviewing our current policy and assessment processes to ensure that all significant trees are valued appropriately and community concerns are heard. So for those interested, I highly recommend deeper reading of this report so that everyone can begin to understand how our governance rules support the work of us all. I commend the report and the officer's recommendation to Council.
Thank you. Councillor Villela, did you want to speak to the item?
No, I reserve my right to.
Okay,
no, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Salkos.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll keep it brief, and I just wanted to touch on what Councillor Sangster highlighted in our council working hard to deliver on our recently endorsed council plan and being transparent to our community. And I wanted to thank our CEO, Anne Howard, for ensuring the inclusion of our petition statuses in our governance report, and I highly recommend our community to jump online and read the governance report if you have any of the petitions signed by yourself and to see where it's at. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're all out. Just coming back to check you're still... Councillor Vella, you still don't want to speak? Okay, so we're going to take it to the vote then. So all those in favour of supporting this motion, that's unanimous. Thank you. All right, we're moving on to 9.5, which is the sale of minor assets. we've got 3 addresses listed. Councillor Attari has a conflict at this
I'd
point.
like to redeclare my general conflict in relation to this item, and I'll leave the chamber.
Thank you. So we'll just wait a moment while Councillor Attari leaves the chamber. Okay. So this relates to these 3 small bits of land. Motion is up on the screen. Does anyone have any questions of staff in relation to this? No? Do I have a mover of the motion? Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Sangster. Does the mover wish to speak?
No, I don't think I've got anything to say. It's fairly straightforward. Okay, I think I will say a very few brief words now that I'm standing up, the microphone's in my hand. Thank you, Mayor. We've approved a number of these property sales in the past, and it's a fairly straightforward matter. So in this occasion, there have been no objections lodged by community members for council's sale of these properties to adjoining property owners. So it's fairly cut and dried in that respect, and it's in line with existing policy. So I commend the motion to you all. Thank you.
Does the seconder wish to speak?
I reserve my right to speak. Thank you, Mayor.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay. I'll just say I think whilst it's seemingly straightforward, little parcels of land behind people's properties can sometimes make a big difference to their quality of life, and given they're pieces of land that are of no public use otherwise, and that council has to maintain, I think these sorts of sales make good sense. So, Councillor O'Brien, have you got your hand up now?
I do, Mayor. You've just prompted me on something.
Okay. I'm not supposed to speak until debate finishes.
Oh.
So I think debate is done. Unless it's something really important I can make in. Thank you. Okay. All right. I'm going to go to the vote. So all those in favour, please raise your hand. Okay. So that's carried unanimously. Thank you. We're just getting Councillor Turi back in the room. Okay, we're now up to notices of motion. So the first one is affirming Darebin's commitment to community inclusion and standing against racism. Councillor O'Brien, do you wish to move this motion? This is your...
Thank you, Mayor. I do wish to move it. With your leave, I would like to move a slightly amended version that's been shared in advance with everybody.
No problem.
I believe officers have outlined the changes in red, and that's on the back of feedback received after the agenda was distributed, and I thank people for contributing to this.
Do we have a seconder for the motion? Hands everywhere. I'll go to Councillor Turi. Okay, does the mover wish to speak?
Very dearly, Mayor. Thank you. Darebin, as we know, is one of the most diverse communities in Victoria. It's home to people from over 150 countries speaking more than 100 languages, and this diversity is our strength. At last month's Gambagulin ceremony, 161 new citizens stood proudly together and were welcomed to Wurundjeri country by Stacey Piper in a ceremony hosted by Uncle James, a Waka Waka elder and valued Darebin employee. It was powerful to see truth-telling about 60,000 plus years of culture shared alongside of celebrations of new belonging and hope for the future. But we cannot ignore that there are those actively working against this vision, seeking to divide, intimidate, and undermine inclusion. As we celebrated, Melbourne streets saw anti-immigrant March for Australia rallies, the open presence of neo-Nazis, and a violent attack on camp sovereignty. These acts threaten the inclusive community we work so hard to build. Reading reports of the materials and messaging distributed at these events was deeply troubling. They explicitly targeted people based on race and ethnicity and serve as a stark reminder that hate is real and growing. This racist rhetoric is not isolated. Extremism is a growing global challenge. I hear from my dad that the Irish flag, long a symbol of freedom from colonial rule, is being co-opted as a signal of anti-immigrant sentiment. We see similar patterns worldwide. The Victorian Parliamentary Inquiry into Extremism confirms this threat is real and growing. Its recommendations are clear: stronger prevention, better education, and closer coordination between governments and communities is needed. This motion calls on the Victorian Government to act decisively, to fully implement all 12 recommendations of the inquiry, and to work with others, including the federal government, to keep our communities safe. We cannot wait while hate grows louder. This motion is both a call to action and a message to our multicultural community. You are welcome in Darebin. We are committed to inclusion, and we will not allow hatred and extremism to go unchecked. When governments act decisively and we stand together, we keep our communities strong, inclusive, and united. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor O'Brien. Councillor Arturi, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and I'd like to thank Councillor O'Brien for that very passionate contribution as well, and it's a pleasure to second this motion. In recent times, the rise of far-right extremism fuelled by misinformation and disinformation campaigns have culminated in violence and other unacceptable behaviour towards people and groups who can experience marginalisation and disadvantage. What we saw in the city a few weeks ago was one such instance. The violent attack on Kant's sovereignty was disgraceful, and we ought to condemn it in the strongest terms. Now, sure, we should be able to have a rational, respectful debate about migration levels, but just like everyone in this chamber, I support the right of people in a democracy to protest as long as it's safe and respectful. But the labels of rational debate and peaceful protest go out the window when it's hijacked by racists and neo-Nazis using the cover of a protest to attack unprovoked peaceful demonstrations like Camp Sovereignty. As the motion notes, the Mayor, Councillor Jelly, Councillor O'Brien and I participated in a citizenship ceremony on that same day. And this was followed by Gambu Gulan, a celebration of culture and belonging, as local Wurundjeri people welcomed and forged new connections with the new members of our community. This is who we are in Darebin, and we have and will continue to celebrate it because our diversity is our strength. And I personally recommit myself to solidarity with First Nations people and multiculturalism in our community, and I look forward to all councillors doing the same this evening. We as a council, a state and a country have done some important work in this space, and Councillor O'Brien touched on some of those, but Councillor O'Brien also said, in the interests of our community, we also know more needs to be done, and that includes by us here on this council. This motion reaffirms our values, recognises the risks and calls on all levels of governments, including our own, to strengthen how we respond and ensure that everyone in Darebin knows that they are safe, valued and belong. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Turi. Yep, Councillor Sangster.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I'm also very pleased to rise in support. There's an Indigenous poet called Abby Cobby Eckerman, and she wrote a poem called Massacre, and in it she speaks about how we must never stop telling the truth. Sit down, sorry camp, long time. Keep telling the story. Local government is part of the storytelling. We have a crucial role in fostering cohesion and in standing strong against racism. People keep trying to make out like this is complicated. It's not. Darebin's diversity is our strength. We saw this so clearly at Gunagurlun, where hundreds gathered and nearly 200 new citizens were welcomed onto Wurundjeri country. But the attack on Camp Sovereignty and the recent rise of far-right extremism reminds us that this harmony is under threat. Racism and misinformation are not abstract issues. 4 young women of colour were taken to hospital after the attacks. Racism and misinformation endanger safety, they fracture communities and they undermine democracy. This motion reaffirms our solidarity with First Nations people, our commitment to equity and inclusion, and it calls on all levels of government to take coordinated action. Darebin must always be clear. We stand for justice, we stand for truth-telling, and for a community where everyone knows that they belong.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Councillor Villela.
Thank you, Mayor. I obviously endorse and support and am thankful for the heartfelt expressions in the chamber. I'm just trying to. I think it's really important that. We make sure that we send the message out there to the community, something that is visible, something that is tangible, and I look forward to the briefing from the CEO that maybe looks at ways, because the notice of motion requests a briefing to look at measures in place to ensure migrants. I'm just reading the last point there, point C, and point B, some concrete actions to be taken by council, how we can signal to the community in a very visual and meaningful and direct way of where we're at on this topic. I think it's really important that somehow, and I'm sure we can look back at how we've done it in the past, some visible signs that where we stand on this matter, because we can talk in the chamber and we have, it's very heartfelt, but we've got to make sure that what we say in the chamber extends to the community outside, because it's community that needs to hear our message loud and clear. So I look forward to the briefing and I'm glad it's noted in the notice of motion, because I think that's a really important step. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I'm just going to make the point that whilst we've focused on migrants and First Nations people in this NOM, and so we should, that's where the focus of these have been, that this kind of extremism also creates fear in our community for a whole lot of other groups of people who are marginalised or experience disadvantage. And so, yeah, I just wanted to just flag for those people too that we also, of course, have their backs. And so whilst we've all acknowledged that all levels of government are working hard in this area, we, like all levels, need to really try and see what more we can do. So thank you for putting the motion forward, Councillor O'Brien. We're going to go to a vote now. All those in favour, raise your hand. That's carried unanimously. Thank you. So we now have a motion from Councillor Villela, Darebin Council Permanent Memorial for Councillor Gaetano Greco. So Councillor Villela, do you wish to move? There's a motion that needs an amendment.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Happy to, move
Yep,
that.
I'm happy to agree to that. So
Okay, thank
continue
you.
on. Oh, so do we have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Arturi. Does the
Thank
leader
you.
wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Turi, for seconding. This notice of motion is a response from the community for a permanent memorial for Councillor Gaetano Greco. As you're aware, he was a long-serving councillor for over 16 years. And it's interesting that it comes after the notice of motion that we just talked about, the defining, I suppose, essence of Darebin City Council is its inclusiveness and welcoming to all people from different backgrounds. And I think that also symbolises, or is the essence of what Councillor Gaetano Greco was all about. just to start off with, this is not unprecedented, asking for a permanent memorial. There is the L.E. Cochin Reserve in Reservoir, who was named after Lewis Edward Cochin, who was a significant figure in the development of the local community here in Darebin. And he was the mayor for Darebin Mayor, I think, and he also he served with distinction on the Darebin City Council. So it's not unprecedented to have a permanent memorial. There's also J.C. Donath Reserve. He was a former town hall clerk when it was a Preston Town Hall. So it is something that we've done that in the past. I think with Councillor Gaetano Greco, it's important to note, not only did he serve 16 years, which is a hell of a long time on council. I think, 4 years is a long time, but 16 years is, but it's what he achieved during those 16 years. And I think if you have a look there in point 3, he really represented, I have to say this in all honesty, because I worked with Gaetano as a councillor for the Latrobe ward for 4 years, and I live in his ward, and he is so respected from the people of Reservoir, from non-English speaking backgrounds. And the thing that is so wonderful about it is that what he did by being active as a person from a cold background is he actually gave voice to the people that we espouse, we represent here at Darebin City Council. He gave voice to people from Italian-speaking background, from a Greek-speaking background, and most recently Indian-speaking background, and so on and so forth. He was also a huge champion for the Indigenous community. And my partner, who was at Gaetano Greco's memorial at the very beginning, I missed the Welcome to Country ceremony, and the elder who performed the ceremony said to my partner, Gaetano did a lot for our people. He was one of the good ones. And he said it in a very heartfelt way that moved my partner. So, Gaetano, so what we're asking for here is...
Respectfully, Councillor.
Yeah, okay. So I think we all understand what we're asking for here is something to acknowledge what Gaetano did, and he gave voice to the people and made the people, and he always said to me, Andrew, we've got to make sure the people are the protagonists of Darebin City Council. It's the people that drive us, and it's the people who we speak on behalf of, and he did it really well, and we need to celebrate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does the seconder wish to speak?
Yes, briefly. Thank you, Mayor. I'll second the motion by Councillor Villala regarding exploring what is the best recognition of the service of the late Gaetano Greco. As the motion notes, the particular concept is supported by many in the community, and a few options have been listed in the motion, as we see on the screen there, by Councillor Villala. And I note that it also allows officers to suggest other options should the need arise. I look forward to receiving the report and the advice of officers and working together with all councillors when the report returns. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Councillor Sangster would like to speak.
Yes, thank you through you, Mayor. I'm also supportive of this nom tonight, but I want to remind us all of one of the things that we all agree on, especially VAS, is that council should be mindful of its budget and make sure that all our decisions benefit as many people as possible. And it is absolutely true that Councillor Greco gave a great deal of energy and passion to this community. At the same time, we must acknowledge that not all members of our community felt supported by him, and some experienced his style and delivery as distressing. So, while I look forward to receiving the report to understand the options, I would want to see the budget implications clearly set out and to explore whether recognition might be possible through existing projects. For example, our fantastic new migration public artwork with appropriate signage rather than through new spending.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, we'll go to the vote then. All in favour of the motion, raise your hand. So that's carried unanimously. Thank you, Councillor Villala.
Thank you.
We have one last notice of motion also from Councillor O'Brien. So thank you, Councillor O'Brien. Do you wish to move the motion?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I would like to move the motion.
Okay. Do we have a seconder for this motion? Councillor Jelly, does the mover wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So it seems multiculturalism is our theme for the noms this evening, which is wonderful to see. I'm very pleased to present this particular motion tonight, celebrating one of Darebin's longest running international partnerships, a partnership that shows the power of grassroots connections and multicultural solidarity. For over 25 years, Darebin and Yarra have walked alongside the people of Bacau and Timor-Leste as a partnership powered by the dedicated volunteers of Friends of Bacau, and this friendship was born right here in Darebin. Timor-Leste has a proud history of resistance in the face of colonisation and occupation. And in 1999, following his release from house arrest in Jakarta, now Prime Minister Xanana Gusmao visited Northcote and proposed that Darebin explore a friendship with the city of Bacau. A small group of locals took up that invitation, spending Christmas with orphans in Bacau, with their trip being supported by fundraising from many people and institutions across Darebin. They carried a letter from then Mayor Chris Kelly, formally inviting Bacau to partner with our city, an offer that was greeted with enthusiasm, and from that seed, this extraordinary partnership grew. This friendship has never just been symbolic. It has meant real practical projects in health, education, women's leadership, and cultural exchange, work that has improved lives and strengthened mutual understanding. Earlier this year, the significance of this work was honoured when President Jose Romas Horta awarded Friends of Bacau the Medal of the Order of Timor-Leste, a remarkable recognition for a volunteer-led group born right here in our community. This year, we also marked two milestones: the 25th year anniversary of the Darebin-Yarra-Bacau partnership and the 50th anniversary of the Timorese community in Victoria. I'm now the councillor representative on the Friends of Bacau committee, and as part of that commitment, I recently had the privilege to attend the celebration of the 50 years of Timorese contributions to Victoria. The event was on Saturday, the 30th of August, the night before the disturbing racist events in our city unfolded. And I can safely say that the joy and gratitude of that night were a powerful antidote to the anti-immigration vitriol that had been building online in the lead up to those events. And I felt so lucky to be part of something that celebrated migration to our communities. These moments remind us that multiculturalism is not just something we celebrate in words, it's something we live. It's about standing together against racism and contributing to the collective good locally and internationally. This motion is about gratitude to Friends of Bacau, to our partners in Yarra, and to everyone who has made this a living example of what councils can achieve when we lead with our values. I warmly commend this motion to councillors, and if you want practical ways to support Friends of Bacau, please become a member or buy some of their delicious coffee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. Does the seconder wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm really proud to second this motion, and I want to thank Councillor O'Brien for bringing this to us for consideration tonight. Darebin's partnership with the Friends of Bacau stands as a clear example of how local government can lead through action, not just through words. By supporting multiculturalism and fostering international friendship, we show what is possible when we work collaboratively across cultures and across borders. Friends of Bacau show us the power of grassroots action that is volunteer-led, community-driven, and has been sustained over decades. Their work strengthens connections, builds understanding, and delivers practical outcomes both here and in Yarra and in Timor-Leste. Our support for the international partnerships like this is not just about celebrating the past, it's about shaping the kind of community that we want to be in the future. Another great example of this kind of partnership is the work between the Friends of Aliu and Mary Beck Council, which similarly demonstrates how councils can foster enduring people-to-people links that benefit communities at home and abroad. Supporting partnerships like these is one of the most effective ways we can promote inclusion, demonstrate that every community member's contribution matters, and take a practical stand against racism. When we invest in these relationships, we help to create a more welcoming and connected community for everyone. I commend the incredible work of the Friends of Bacau. Their commitment and achievements are a credit to our Darebin community, and I'm proud to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Does anyone else wish to speak to this motion? Okay, we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we have no items of urgent business this evening. So the only other item is a confidential matter. There's just one confidential report to be considered this evening. So, councillors, is there a mover of the recommendation to close the meeting to the public and move into a confidential meeting? Councillor Jelly and seconder Councillor Villela. Can we put this to the vote? Thanks. All those in favour, raise your hand, and that's carried unanimously. So thank you to the members of the committee who have joined us this evening and to those tuned in via the live stream. Please note the live stream will not resume after the confidential meeting has concluded. So I'll now declare the meeting closed to members of the public at 7:15 p.m. and request officers cease the live streaming and recording. So if we'll just, councillors, just give a moment for that to occur, and then we'll move into the confidential.